If you don't calm down, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Lady, I got buddies who died face down in the muck so that you and I could enjoy this family restaurant.
All right, I'm out of here.
Hey, dude, don't go away, man. Come on, this affects all of us, man. They're basic freedoms. I'm staying. I'm finishing my coffee. Enjoying my coffee.
Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello, hello. This is Matt Truman. Calmer than you are, dude. That's right. The Big Lebowski. Probably the greatest Coen Brothers movie ever. Today on the podcast, we have to get into it. We have to talk about what's on Monday's agenda in the city of Heber Heights. But before we do, we're going to play May 13th City Council meeting. We're going to play the executive session that was not an executive session, that probably shouldn't have been an executive session, but on several occasions what's called an executive session in the public. Oh, government is perfect, ladies and gentlemen. Government officials are perfect. You have got to know this. You've got to know this. So with that, take it away, Mr. Mayor.
I've been notified, so we...
Should be purchase or sale of real estate.
Yeah, it'd be sale of real estate, correct. Okay, and for purposes, I was notified that we also need executive session this evening. Mr. McDonald, if you have that language.
The other one, again, would also be brief, and that is to consider an item related to the appointment, employment, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee or official.
Okay, so 2 items for executive session this evening. Is there a motion for executive session? Mr. Campbell?
So move.
Motion, is there a second? Mr. Lyons?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the item? Yes, Mr. Otto?
Yes, Mr. McDonald, the second piece that was mentioned, that involves a member of council?
Yes, it does.
Would that be me?
Yes, it is.
Could I request that that be held publicly? I would prefer not to be an executive session.
You sure can.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to executive session and deal with item number 1, and then we'll come back to the dais and deal with item number 2. Okay, this time we will move to executive. Oh, yes. My apologies.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
And motion for executive session carries 7-0. Okay, it is now 8:15. We have come out of executive session. No action was taken. And next we will move on to part 2 of the executive session. Yes, part 2.
The other discussion.
Yes, the other discussion.
Thank you. And the reason I was going to go back, or that we were going to go back there, was just to advise council of the events of last week. On, I believe it was Tuesday, I received a copy of a email from Mr. Schomer sent me a copy of an email that was from Councilmember Otto to our zoning code enforcement officer, Don Millard. Mr. Schomer said in his email to me, said he was concerned about the email because it appeared to be possibly interference with administration under our code and wanted to know how to address it. The email was copied to myself and the mayor. I replied back on my thoughts on that. The next day, on Wednesday, I was asked, this would be over the telephone, what my response was, if I was saying that there was a violation of the charter. My response was, yes, there was a technical violation of the charter. And as such, I said, I asked the mayor at this point how he wanted to handle this. He had said that he wasn't sure how we're supposed to handle it, and asked what to do. And I said, well, the first thing I'd like to do is talk to Mr. Otto about it. I contacted Mr. Otto, told him what my thoughts were, then contacted the mayor, told the mayor what my thoughts were, and basically what the issue is our charter provides that in section 406, council or its members shall deal with city officers and employees who are under the direction and supervision of the manager solely through the manager. And in this case, the letter or the email from Mr. Otto to Mr. Miller did not go through the city manager. My understanding is the city manager did not know about it, and as such, that would be a violation of the charter. When you look at section 1308, it says that when there is one of the enumerated causes for removal is a violation of this section of the charter, and it kicks off a whole process. And it says that this shall happen. So what I was going to advise council is that we have a process, and if council, we weren't going to ask if there should be removal or anything like that, because the very first process is the city needs to hire either the prosecutor or special counsel. Prosecutor first, but if the prosecutor says they're not going to handle it, which is typical of the prosecutors around here, hire special counsel to advise the city on this and to handle the matter. And to do that, we would need council action. So the next step, if you would be whether or not to secure that attorney. And if council says no, the matter's done. If council says yes, it moves forward. And that's the extent of the executive session.
Okay, so in regards to that, when I was advised that there was a charter violation, when I spoke to the attorney advising that the charter very specifically says shall, then this is something that we at least have to look into from that perspective, and that's the position that I took, that we would bring this to council and find out if the process was going to move forward. So with that, I guess we would open this up for discussion at this time regarding the process that Mr. McDonald laid out, that the next step in the process would be hiring either the prosecutor or the outside attorney. And
it would be something from council authorizing that.
Authorizing it.
So there would have to be a legislative step before, and that would simply be to hire the council, hire the special legal counsel.
Okay, so what we would be discussing here this evening is either moving forward on authorizing that legislation for Mr. McDonald to write to hire outside counsel, or leaving it here where it sits. So with that, I'd open it up for discussion. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald, could you please read any email correspondence that you had shared with Mr. Otto regarding to this? I think that's kind of imperative before council has any further discussion.
The email I sent to Mr. Otto?
I think the entire string of emails would probably, or if we could get a copy of those.
You can, yes.
Okay.
Tony has everything that was already requested at one point, and so it's all available in the packet.
So in order to shorten that down a little bit, to understand the context of your communication with Mr. Otto, would you be able to at least read your email correspondence to him? In a possible unredacted version, please.
Yeah, that's not a problem if I can find it, and I know I have it somewhere. I hope. This is an email from myself to Mr. Otto, copy to Mr. Schomer, Mr. Gore, Thursday, May 9th, 2019. Glenn, you have no problem with me reading this, I'm assuming? I mean, it is public.
I am more than well. After tonight, I will probably be publicly sharing all this information.
Thank you.
So please do.
Glenn, as I told you in our telephone conversation this morning, I was sent the email below and asked for my thoughts with respect to the email in Charter Section 4.09C. While there is no problem with the council member reaching out to citizens to help them with various situations, in some situation, council needs to let staff do their job. I can appreciate that you wish to assist the citizens in Huber Heights and help bring property into compliance. However, your involvement in matters such as this can have the opposite effect. With respect to code enforcement matters, we have a process that needs to be followed and needs to be consistent. When it reaches the level of enforcement action, which I understand is the case with this property, we cannot have council members intervening and or negotiating proposed settlements. I respectfully request that you first contact the city manager prior to engaging with citizens that are subject to code enforcement actions. While I believe the above warrants serious consideration, it is secondary to a more important issue. Charter Section 4.06C provides, quote, except for the purpose of investigations under Section 409 of this charter and inquiries, council or its members shall deal with the city officers and employees who are under the direction and supervision of the manager solely through the manager. Neither council nor its members shall give any orders to any such employee, officer or employee, either publicly or privately, end quote. I was specifically asked if I thought that the below email violates Charter Section 4.06. In my opinion, the communication does not qualify as an investigation or inquiry, and it was not made through or with the knowledge of the city manager. While I do not believe you gave, quote, any orders, end quote, to Don, it is pretty clear that through this email you, quote, deal with, end quote, a city employee under the city manager's direction other than through the city manager. As such, I believe there is a violation of 409C. Given my conclusion, I have copied the mayor on this email for any further consideration of the issue.
Mr. Shaw?
No further comments yet.
Mr. Shaw?
Yeah, I would point out that under what you just read, Mr. McDonald, specifically the point that says where you had put in quotations, except for the purpose of investigations under Section 409 of this charter, which certainly doesn't apply here, and inquiries. I would suggest that my email was an inquiry. I had simply reported a situation as a resident had contacted me, mentioning that there were she was having some issues complying with our zoning and would like someone to speak with her, and I told her I'd be happy to do so. I did. I relayed the information of my discussion with Mr. Millard, as he is the head of the zoning department, and I had simply stated to him that I had spoken with her, relayed that situation, and there's where my inquiry came in. I had asked if the city would be willing to work with this individual, this resident of our community. I will say that if there are issues on this dais, in this city, in this building, with council members assisting or aiding residents, be those private residents or business residents, well, then there are going to be issues with me, and there should have been plenty already. I will not cease having discussions with residents of this community. When a resident asks me for their help, I would continue to provide that help as best I can. I ordered nobody to do anything, instructed nobody to do anything. It was a very basic communication. I really, really don't understand it. And truth be told, if I were to, as I had told you when I had spoken to you on the phone concerning this, you had your concern, I had said, and I will stick with this, that in the future, the only action that I will change will be the fact that I will carbon the city manager on any of those types of communications that I have. Otherwise, I will continue to work with the residents of our city, regardless of what anyone says, thinks, or does. Additionally, at this time, I would also like to make a public records request to Mr. Rogers for any emails from